Here are the top stories for today, July 16, 2021. Jobs, jobs, and more jobs. Another 1.15 million doses of AstraZeneca jobs procured by the private sector arrived today, which is seen to further boost vaccination against COVID-19. Slight easing of restrictions. Metro Manila is now under general community quarantine for the rest of July. We bring you the latest quarantine classifications in the country. Boosting economy through infrastructure. President Rodrigo Duterte leads the opening of the first 18-kilometer portion of the Central Luzon Link expressway. And over 2 months of vacation for students. Classes in public elementary and secondary schools for the school year 2021-2022 will begin on September 13. Good day, I'm Marita Muaje. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. We start with students having more than 2 months of vacation from school. This as President Rodrigo Duterte picked September 13 as the start of the school year 2021-2022. Bench Bondoc has the details.
Classes will start on September 13. This as President Rodrigo Duterte has approved this opening date for school year 2021 to 2022. The Education Department says the date was among the options recommended by Secretary Leonor Briones. Meanwhile, Manila City has allocated over 5 billion pesos for the construction of 3 modernized public schools. More than 60 million pesos is also on standby in preparation for a possible surge in enrollment. Manila Mayor Francisco Domagoso pointed out that quality education must not suffer despite the pandemic. He also assures students that they can continue to learn and study while in the capital city. The United States Agency for International Development also provided education assistance to reinvigorate the education programs in the country. USAID donated over 12 million pesos worth of distance learning equipment for the e-Eskwela learning centers of the alternative learning system. USAID Acting Mission Director Sean Calyahan said they are working hard so that vulnerable, out-of-school youth who have stopped schooling due to the pandemic are given the opportunity and tools to adapt, grow, and have a better future. Included in the donations are desktop units, printers, projectors, wireless routers, and other necessary materials for ALS implementers and learners to execute distance learning programs. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Bench Bondo.
The Commission on Higher Education says the Commission on Audit report regarding its low spending is inaccurate and misleading. COA says CHED has only spent 40.61% of its Bayanihan 2 funds, which means the agency underspent on its projects. Under the Bayanihan 2, CHED was given 300 million for education subsidy called Bayanihan 2 for Higher Education Tulong Program and 3 billion pesos for grants to state universities and colleges for their smart campus development projects. Contrary to the findings of the Commission on Audit or COA, CHED Chairman Popoy De Vera said the agency has utilized 99% of the allocated funds under the Bayanihan 2. He said COA's report only covers the period until December 31 last year when the use of the Bayanihan 2 funds was extended until June 30, 2021. Education scholars of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARMM have started receiving their scholarship benefits. The ceremonial releasing of scholarship checks was held at the BARM Government Center. A total of 1,298 scholars are entitled to receive 60,000 pesos per year. Minister Muhagar Iqbal of the Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education said higher education certainly has benefits to Bangsamoro learners. He said the scholarship program is a testament to the government's commitment to making quality education accessible. The total number of administered COVID-19 vaccines in the country has already surpassed the 14 million mark. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said more and more Filipinos will be vaccinated soon, especially with the arrival of more jobs.
Nasa 391,283 ang naitalang daily jobs po kahapon. Ito pong pinakamataas na naabot natin so far, 391,283. Patuloy po ang pagtaas ng ating mga bilang ng ating nababakunahan. Sumatotal ay meron na po tayong 14,465,786 total doses administered. Sangayon po ito sa National COVID-19 Vaccination Task Force. Nasa mahigit na 4 na milyon or 4,288,660 na po ang nakatanggap ng 2 doses ng COVID-19 vaccine. Kaya tara po, magpakapuna tayo, wala pong bayad ng una at pangalawang dose.
More local government units nationwide received a fresh batch of COVID-19 vaccines as more supplies are coming in. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III said the freshly delivered 250,800 doses of Moderna vaccines, 194,400 are distributed to local government units nationwide, while 56,400 doses will go to the private sector. He also confirmed that the National Capital Region Plus 10 will be a priority recipient of these vaccines, but did not provide details on allocations per area. Meanwhile, over 5.8 million doses of Sinovac, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines are arriving in the country starting today until tomorrow, July 17. This morning, a total of 1,150,800 doses of AstraZeneca vaccines arrived at the NAIA Terminal 1 in Parañaque City. The AstraZeneca jobs that arrived today were procured by the private sector and local government units. As the COVID-19 pandemic lingers, people in the province of Batangas are facing another danger: the continued unrest of the Taal volcano. Earlier today, government officials visited the province to witness the vaccination of first responders to the calamity. Around 2,000 members of the Philippine National Police, Bureau of Fire Protection, and other agencies got vaccinated against COVID-19. National Task Force Against COVID-19 Deputy Chief Implementer Vince Dizon said it is important for first responders to get the jobs to be able to effectively perform their duties. Meanwhile, the Department of Health in Calabarzon reported that it has provided basic emergency supplies, including around 5 million medicines, personal protective equipment, and disinfectants, and a total of 10,000 vaccines for evacuees and responders. Taal volcano is currently under alert level 3 as PhilVox said a magmatic intrusion at its main crater may further drive succeeding eruptions. Vaccination drives in the provinces are moving at a faster rate as more COVID-19 vaccines are continuously pouring in provinces. The details are from William Theo.
In Negros Occidental, Governor Eugenio Jose Lacson welcomed the arrival of 62,600 doses of AstraZeneca vaccines to the province. He said they are expecting more jabs within the month. Vaccination rollout in Negros Occidental is still focused on individuals belonging to the A1, A2, and A3 priority groups. Region 12 or Socsargen is also ramping up on its vaccination rollout with the arrival of more vaccines. DOH 12 Health Education and Promotion Officer Arjon Gangoso said the inoculation activities in the region have continued to pick up in the past several weeks. He said master listing is ongoing in the province. Meanwhile, Zamboanga City has started rolling out vaccination for the A4 priority sector. Mayor Maria Isabel Climaco Salazar said those in the front lines will be given priority as they are more exposed to risks. Negros Oriental is also ramping up on their COVID-19 inoculation as the province received the Pfizer vaccine. The jabs are intended for the second dose of residents who received their first dose a few weeks ago. The vaccine vaccines had to be disposed of at the earliest time possible as the province does not have ultra-cold storage for this particular brand. Aside from Pfizer, the province is also expected to receive additional vaccines such as AstraZeneca and Sinovac in the coming days. For the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo.
Local government units in Bicol are urged to monitor the possible illegal selling of COVID-19 vaccines. This after the Department of Health in the region reports that there is an individual soliciting 50 pesos per person for COVID-19 vaccination. The DOH reminds the public that all COVID-19 vaccines are free. All local chief executives, health offices, and vaccination sites are advised to monitor and prevent such incidents from occurring in their areas. The DOH says such incident can be reported to the Food and Drug Administration by sending an email. Meanwhile, Sorsogon Governor Francis Chis Escudero is calling on health authorities to be transparent and fair in the allocation and distribution of the COVID-19 vaccines. Escudero earlier asked the Department of Health to explain why the majority of the 36,800 vials of vaccines that arrived in Bicol would be distributed only to Albay Province and the cities of Legazpi and Naga, leaving out other areas of the region. In his Twitter account, Escudero said a fair and equitable distribution of vaccines will help the country achieve population protection. Malacanang says more establishments may operate in full capacity when 80% of its employees have completed their COVID-19 vaccinations, as suggested by Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship, Joey Concepcion. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases is yet to discuss the proposal, but noted that it may be considered.
Wala pa pong napag-usapan na ganyan sa IATF, pero kung talagang umabot tayo doon sa sinasabi ni PA Joey Concepcion na 80% na ang nabakunahan sa isang business establishment, I am sure the IATF will consider this in due course. Hindi ko lang po alam kung meron ng mga 80% na mga vaccinated employees in any establishment. But needless to say, all that PA Concepcion has to do is to write a formal letter to the IATF to consider adopting this rule. At pakikinggan naman po yan.
The world is currently in the early stages of the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. This as the World Health Organization said cases of COVID-19 were increasing globally in the past week. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said COVID-19 deaths are increasing again after 10 weeks of declines. Ghebreyesus said the Delta variant is one of the main drivers of the current increase in transmission, fueled by increased social mixing and mobility and inconsistent use of proven public health and social measures. He said the Delta variant is now in more than 111 countries, so the WHO expects it to soon be the dominant COVID-19 strain circulating worldwide, if it isn't already. Meanwhile, Ghebreyesus said a lack of access to vaccines leaves most of the world's population at the mercy of the virus. He said many countries still have not received any vaccines and most have not received enough. Still to come, the first 18-kilometer stretch of the Central Luzon Link Expressway is seen to boost the economy, and Metro Manila mayors are set to craft executive orders on child-friendly zones in the region. Details ahead, this is the PNA Newsroom.
The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly changed our lives for the worse. Lives and jobs were lost and economies reached a meltdown. Thanks to the arrival of safe and effective vaccines, we are one step closer to normalcy. It's time to do our part, get vaccinated for our safety and for our recovery.
You are there in that community, go there and have yourself vaccinated by any of the vaccines available. They are all potent, they are all effective. I would like to appeal to all our kababayans, please get vaccinated against COVID-19 and be the government partner in preventing further spread of the disease. I encourage you to get vaccinated as soon as possible time. These vaccines are safe and they are the key to reopening our society. The need for international solidarity and cooperation cannot be made clearer than this pandemic because everyone is safe. No one is safe globally until everybody is safe.
Vaccines work.
Metro Manila is placed under the more relaxed GCQ starting today, July 16. This after the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases recommend the further easing of restrictions in Metro Manila. Meanwhile, some areas were reverted to the strictest enhanced community quarantine. Cagayan de Oro City in Misamis Occidental and Gingoog City in Misamis Oriental were both placed under ECQ until July 31. The whole province of Iloilo, including Iloilo City, are also under ECQ effective immediately. The Metro Manila Council has ordered its mayors to craft measures in line with the government's policy allowing children aged 5 and above to go outdoors in areas under general and modified general community quarantine. The council urges the local government units of Metro Manila to issue executive orders and enact ordinances identifying outdoor areas or parks that can accommodate children. There will be a 50% limit in the venue capacity to avoid overcrowding, and marshals shall be deployed to ensure compliance with the minimum public health standards and protocols. Minors must also be accompanied by adults. Metropolitan Manila Development Authority Chairperson Benhur Abalos said it is important that guidelines and protocols are in place for outdoor places accessible to children amid the pandemic. Another factor to be considered is the capacity of the outdoor area, as overcrowding in open spaces can lead to COVID-19 super spreader events. President Rodrigo Duterte on Thursday expressed confidence that the opening of the first 18-kilometer portion of the Central Luzon Link Expressway, or CLEX, will help bolster the economy. Duterte was present during the inauguration of the 18-kilometer Tarlac Interchange to Aliaga section of CLEX Project Phase 1 in Tarlac City. The 18-kilometer portion of the new expressway, which covers the Tarlac-Rio Chico River Bridge and Aliaga sections, will benefit around 11,000 motorists and commuters. It is expected to shorten the travel time of 70 minutes between the cities of Tarlac and Cabanatuan to just 20 minutes. Duterte said the event marks another milestone in his administration's Build infrastructure program. He thanked the Japanese government for helping fund the construction of CLEX, as well as the Department of Public Works and Highways and its partners for the speedy, efficient, and timely completion of the section. He also noted that the entire 30-kilometer CLEX project will help improve access to several localities in Tarlac and Nueva Ecija. DPWH Secretary Mark Villar, Senator Bongo, and Japanese Ambassador to the Philippines Kazuhiko Koshikawa also joined Duterte in the opening of the 4-lanes toll-free expressway project connecting the provinces of Tarlac and Nueva Ecija. CLEX is among the key infrastructure projects with funding assistance from the government of Japan through the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Some 1,400 displaced sugarcane workers in the Davao del Sur received a total of 8.6 million pesos worth of cash assistance from the Department of Labor and Employment in Region 11 on Thursday. Over 600 displaced workers of the Free Planters Multipurpose Cooperative received a check worth 3.7 million pesos from Dole 11's Davao del Sur field office. A check worth 4.9 million pesos was also given to the Davao Mill District Development Council Foundation for its 800-plus out-of-work individuals. The cash assistance is under the Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa Ating Disadvantaged Displaced Workers Program, which provides emergency employment for displaced workers, underemployed, and seasonal workers. The enlisted beneficiaries are assigned to work on canal dredging, road clearing, and maintenance of sugarcane farmlands within the province. In our business news, Japanese companies remain interested in investing in the Philippines as they expect express lanes in the country to facilitate their investments. The Department of Trade and Industry recently had a business dialogue with Japanese firms who expressed concerns over operational and fiscal bottlenecks. Among their concerns are the timely issuance of travel visas for employees, the processing and release of permits and licenses, taxes, and access to COVID-19 vaccinations. The Japanese firms are requesting a green lane for significant foreign investments like what other governments in ASEAN provide to investors. Most of these firms are in the manufacturing of electronics and medical devices. The DTI said these companies are eyeing around $3 billion worth of investments in the country. Japan is the country's top source of foreign investments in the first quarter of the year, accounting for 54.1% of the total approved foreign investments. Up next, 3 tourists will face charges for using fake RT-PCR test results to enter Boracay. And Malacanang declares July 20 as a regular holiday for Idil Adha. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom. You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon Jr. condemned anew the killing of Keith Absalon, the football player from Far Eastern University, saying he was specifically targeted for opposing the advocacy of communist terrorist groups. At the recent virtual press con of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, Esperon said Absalon actively promoted sports among the youth, which was contrary to the advocacy of the CPP-NPA. He Police said the CPP, NPA, NDF also want to intimidate the public and show their strength as many of their members have continued to surrender in Masbate. Esperon mourned for the loss of the FEU football player who was awarded the UAAP Juniors Most Valuable Player in Season 78. He assured the Absalon family that the Regional Task Force in Bicol has already filed cases in court against the CPP, NPA, NDF, and its key personalities. A New People's Army rebel was killed while 2 others were captured in a clash on Thursday with government troops in Barangay Malasibog, Escalante City in Negros Occidental. The soldiers of the 79th Infantry Battalion were conducting security patrol after receiving a tip from residents of the presence of armed men in the village. The clash that lasted for 5 minutes resulted in the death of Wilson Enrolizo Yanog Jr. of Sitio Tinibiangan, Barangay Minapasok in Calatrava, Negros Occidental. 2 other rebels were captured by the soldiers. Troops recovered from the clash site a .45 caliber pistol, a 9mm caliber pistol, ammunition, cellular phones, backpacks with various personal belongings, and subversive documents. Meanwhile, NPA rebels burned a hauling truck Wednesday in a remote area in Cortez, Surigao del Sur. Investigators said the truck was heading to Palo 8 area when an undetermined number of NPA rebels flogged it down. The rebels then burned the truck and told the driver that it was a warning to the owner who failed to meet their demand. Police Provincial Officer Director Colonel James Goforth said that the owner of the truck is a buyer of alcata trees who refused to give in to the extortion demands of the rebels. Authorities arrested 3 tourists from Silang Cavite for using fake RT-PCR results to enter Boracay on July 14. The Malay Police said upon learning from the Aklan Provincial Tourist Validating Office that their RT-PCR results were fake, the 3 tourists were immediately extracted from their hotel less than 3 hours after checking in. They were brought to the provincial quarantine facility in the municipality of Calibo for swabbing. The latest apprehensions brought to 17 the total number of tourists arrested for using fake documents to enter the island since June 2021. Aside from facing charges, the Sangguniang Bayan of Malay is declaring tourists with fake certificates as persona non grata. In sports, boxer Yumir Marcial will be the new male flag bearer for the Philippine team in the Tokyo Olympics opening ceremonies. The boxer will replace pole vaulter EJ Obiena as one of the 2 athletes who will carry the Philippine flag in the opening rites scheduled for July 23, the other being judoka Kiyomi Watanabe. The middleweight pug will be among the first Filipinos to arrive in Tokyo on Saturday and will not see action until July 25. Watanabe is currently based in Japan and will only debut on July 27 in the women's under 63 kg judo event. Boxing coach Nolito Velasco and judo president Dave Carter will join Marcial and Watanabe in the opening parade along with chef de mission Nonong Araneta, skateboarding coach Daniel Velasco, swimming president Lani Velasco, and gymnastics chief Cynthia Carrion Norton. President Rodrigo Duterte has declared July 20, 2021 a regular holiday throughout the country in observance of Idil Adha or the Feast of Sacrifice. Proclamation number 1189 signed by Duterte on Thursday allows Filipino Muslims to observe Idil Adha while following existing community quarantine protocols. This is the second time Idil Adha will be observed amid the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. The National Commission on Muslim Filipinos earlier recommended that July 20 be declared as a national holiday in observance of Idil Adha. Idil Adha is one of the 2 greatest feasts of Islam, the other being Idil Fitr. It marks the culmination of the Hajj or pilgrimage rites at Mina, Saudi Arabia near Mecca. The festival commemorates the willingness of Abraham to sacrifice a son as an act of obedience to God's command. Here's another look at today's biggest stories. Jobs, jobs, and more jobs. Another 1.15 million doses of AstraZeneca jobs procured by the private sector arrived today, which is seen to further boost vaccination against COVID-19. Slight easing of restrictions. Metro Manila is now under general community quarantine for the rest of July. We bring you the latest quarantine classifications in the country. Boosting economy through infrastructure. President Rodrigo Duterte leads the opening of the first 18-kilometer portion of the Central Luzon Link Expressway. And over 2 months of vacation for students. Classes in public elementary and secondary schools for the school year 2021-2022 will begin on September 13. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear face masks and face shields. Wash your hands often. Practice safe physical distancing. Go out only for essential reasons. And get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, visit our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. I'm Marita Muaje. Have a good day.